I'm a Christian and I don't go to church, and here is why. Sorry if I sound nasally. I've got a cold. My drink right here. So let's get cracking. So I stopped going to church this year actually. I mean, I've been to church a couple of times this year, but I made a decision to stop going to church this year. And the reason for that is because last year I started reading the Bible for myself. So over the years, I've always read the Bible, but it never really clicked for me when I read the Bible until last year. I was very determined to read the Bible and understand the Bible. And for the first time, it clicked. I can't tell you how many times I've read the book of Genesis. And I think when you've heard something over and over again throughout the course of your life, it's almost like you hear it, but you're not thinking deep about it. Like, so for example, I've always heard God created heaven and earth on the same day, but it never fully clicked in my head until I was reading it last year and I was just like, wait, before there was just a void, like there was literally nothing. And God created heaven, the heaven that we are hoping to get to. God created it exactly the same day as the earth. Like, wow. It finally clicked in my head, like, oh my gosh, it's exact same day. That's just example number one. Also, when I was reading the story of Esther, that was my very first time ever reading, the story of Esther. I've always heard about her story, but I just never read it until, again, last year when I was reading, and I realized I feel like Christians have glorified her so much. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from everything that she achieved and stuff, or her bravery and everything, but nobody really talks about her cousin. Her cousin was actually the one that more or less raised her, trained her, is the one advising her in terms of what to do, where to go, and things like that. But the way that at least I've grown up, the way that I heard her story is always like, oh, she's this brave woman. It's almost like she achieved everything by herself, but that wasn't the case. She had somebody helping her. Time where I can say, okay, she kind of took the initiative was when, again, her cousin wanted to approach the king, and she said, okay, let us fast before approaching him. That's the only time I can say, okay, she more or less took initiative. I mean, you can correct me. I'm just based on what I remember. Based on what I remember, like that's when I can say, okay, she really took the initiative. But most of the time, it was her cousin pulling the strings. So it's just things like that where I'm just like, again, I'm not taking away from what she achieved. I'm just saying that I never knew there was somebody behind supporting her or pushing her, if that makes sense. Like it's always like I've always thought she was just this powerful woman that was just calling the shots herself and just doing everything herself. So yeah, that was just my understanding. So I'm not saying that every church don't talk about her cousin. I'm just saying from my understanding from growing up, I never knew there was someone pushing her to achieve things. For me, after reading the Bible and understanding some things for myself, I realized that all my years, 30 plus years going to church, I never fully understand the Bible. And I wouldn't really blame the church per se. Like they have their own blame and I have my own blame, or I can say the people in the church have their own blame in terms of like most people go to church, they hear the preaching and then they go home and they never open the Bible again until next Sunday. But at the same time, I also feel like the church is not helping people. What the church normally do is pick a verse of the Bible and use it to preach for 1 hour. Half of the time, they're not reading the context of the Bible, but the part they're taking out could be probably the only positive part of that whole chapter. But because people are not getting the context, you'll be using that chapter, you'll be using that verse to pray, and you don't actually know what was before that point that you're using as a prayer point. I know churches do have like Bible studies during the week and things like that, but in this part of the country, a lot of people don't have time for that, unfortunately. People are working 9 to 5, they've got kids to look after, they've got family to look after. By the time you come back from work, you're trying to cook, clean, you barely have time for yourself, and then you have to repeat the next day. Like, people don't really have enough time. So that Sundays where people actually do have time, where they actually dedicated to go to church, I wish the church can actually preach the Bible properly to people instead of one verse, preach the whole chapter, let people understand the context. I wish the church can just say, you know what, today we're going to be we're going through the book of Genesis. Everyone, make sure you read it so that every Sunday when people come to church, people can say, the pastor can ask people, just like being in the class, really. Pastor can ask people and say, okay, what is your understanding of the book of Genesis? What's your understanding? And then the pastor can say, okay, this is what the Bible is actually talking about. This is what this actually means and stuff like that. This is how you can apply this to your life. That doesn't happen. So I feel like most people are just surface level Christian. They just go to church and take whatever the Bible, whatever the pastor says as the gospel, and that's it. So I feel like I got tired of that. I got tired of the prosperity preaching. I wanted something more deeper. I want someone that can actually preach the Bible, can actually tell us what the Bible is saying, what God is saying. And I feel like the only pastor that I've seen that actually do that right now is Pastor Dolapo. But unfortunately, he lives in the United States. I live in the UK. So I just watch his preaching online and that's it. So I wish I could find a good church. So I'm not against churches at all, but I just haven't but I just feel like I've kind of outgrown the kind of churches I was going before. And now I yearn more for like the actual word. I don't want the prosperity gospel. I don't want the motivational speaking type of church. Yeah, sometimes it's needed, but a lot of times I'm like, I want something more deeper than that, you know? And I feel like what a lot of church also do is that they will have their own personal experience with God. For example, maybe they suffer from greed or something, and God will say, you know what, your car, I want you to give it to somebody else. And then the pastor will now come and say, if you want to get something from God, you need to sow a seed before you can get something. And I'm just like, that's not how it is. That was your conviction. That was your relationship with God. That was what you were struggling with. It doesn't mean somebody else is struggling with that. Like everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own thing. But I feel like, yeah, pastors will have their own experience and then just project that onto people. So I've just gone to a point where I'm just like, I want to know God for myself, you know. And also one thing, I don't know if I'm going to change by next year, but where I'm at right now, I see the Bible as a storybook. I don't see the Bible as something that I have to live my life by. Hear me out. Hear me out. So I see the Bible as a storybook and something I can take inspiration from rather than something that I have to live my life by. And the reason why I say that, I'm like, Naomi had her own experience. Ruth has her own experience. Esther has her own experience. Everybody has their own experiences. Nobody lived like anybody. That was their reality. That was their reality. This is my reality. My time is different from back then. There are some things that I run back then that will not run now, and vice versa. For me, I don't see why I need to live my life like Naomi, for example, if that makes sense. For example, when Daniel fasted, God didn't ask him to fast. He chose to fast, and he chose the kind of fasting that he wanted to do. When Esther fasted, she chose to fast. She chose the kind of fasting that she wanted to do. Even when Jesus came and he fasted, he chose the kind of fasting that he wanted to do. So yes, I believe as a Christian we need to fast, but I don't think we need to fast exactly the way Daniel fast or the way Esther fast. I mean, if you want to do it, that's a different case. But I feel like there's so many ways where you can fast to God that God will accept. I feel like fasting is just spending time with God, like kind of like depriving your flesh and allowing your spirit to actually be awakened so that you can hear from God. And I feel like God appreciates you spending time with Him. So you can actually choose the kind of fasting that you want to do. Like it took me a long time to actually understand that I could do that. Because I feel like, okay, I have to do it like Daniel did it. I have to do it like, and sometimes like I'm struggling. And I feel like I'm struggling. I remember when I tried to do Daniel fast, like I was struggling. And I felt like after the time, I was thinking more about what I'm going to eat that is appropriate to eat than actually focusing on the reason why I'm fasting and spending time with God. So, yeah, so for me, I'm just at a point now where I'm just like, okay, I want to have my own journey with God. I want to have my own experience with God. Like I said, this is my journey. I can come back here next year and be saying something completely different. But as of where I'm at right now, I don't go to church. I do listen to preaching online, so don't get me wrong. I'm not out of the word, no, and I'm not, even though I'm deconstructing the Christian ways, the typical Christian ways, I not I am not leaving God. I love God. God loves me. I'm on my journey in my Christianity. I'm on my journey with God, and I want to know God for myself. So this is where I'm at. This is why So this is the reason why I don't go to church. If you're having the same experience as well, where you're not going to church for whatever reason, comment down below. Let me know your reason why you don't go to church anymore. Is it a thing where you don't want to go ever again, or you're still willing, or you're hoping to just find a better church to go to? And one thing I'm actually trying to do now is actually do like a Bible studies with my friends, because I really wanna have better understanding of God. I really wanna have better understanding of the things that happen back in the day and stuff like that. So hopefully maybe by the time I finish reading the Bible, my opinion and everything, my outlook on life and Christianity will change. But until then, this is where I'm at. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you on my next one.